is Joe. This is the second that I got one coin. I came here back in September of 2018, I think. And I made it to 2 years before I stumbled last year and was gone for most of last year until I'd say about December of 2021 when I first came back. And I'm sure Tammy remembers that scene as she saw me the first time, and the first thing she said, "You grew your hair out." and I'm trying in case.
Okay.
But yeah, all my life I've been through a lot of struggles. My father was my birth father was a cocaine user, heavy cocaine user. My mom was so scared that she always had bodyguards in the house, mainly because of how violent he was due to his cocaine addiction. And when she married my stepfather, it was better in comparison. It wasn't that much better. He was pretty nasty as well, which kind of led me down to some of the problems that I have as an adult. Although you wouldn't notice it if you looked at my grades in school. As I just mentioned up here, that I just got straight A's on a subject that I knew nothing about and I hate. I've never flunked a class, although I came close in 5th grade. I never failed on my education, but I've always struggled on a lot of other things. I was very self-conscious, and as I was getting older and older, I was starting to get. I think the first thing was I was starting to get into the swinger scene, where I was pretty desirable among older women. You know, I was like about 23, 24. They wanted a young guy to play with, and I just didn't care. Soon that behavior was starting to spill into my regular life, particularly when I was unemployed and had a nervous breakdown and tried to commit suicide in 2012. And the fact that I was working on the kill floor and at JBS didn't exactly help my situation. And if anybody works, yes, you know that is a nasty place to work on the kill floor. I was vegetarian for 2 years after working there. And I'm going to tell you, don't get in there. It's been 10 years since I've been there, but when you see the stuff that I've seen, that sticks with you even after you're dead. But anyways, after that, I was living with my mom. I was not doing anything. I had severe mental health issues. While I was waiting for my disability to come in, I started working as a sex worker, which is how my life as a swinger was starting to spill more into my everyday life, because that's how I was making money. And I was having sex with men right and left, just to have like gas and food to eat. And as I was doing that, I've experienced, for example, the first time using a crack pipe. I've taken pills. I've had some minor substance abuses, not severe, but I definitely dabbled. And even after I got my disability benefits, I was still doing that. I was sleeping with prostitutes, female prostitutes right and left. And they actually liked me a little bit more because they said that, unlike most other guys, me sleeping with other guys for money helped them relate to me. So my most girlfriends and female friends that I hung out with were in that environment one way or another. And it wasn't until around 2017 when I found out I was going to be a father that I was starting to clean up my life a little bit, because I honestly didn't think I was going to be a father. So the first thing I did is that I left the church for about like 4 years, and that was the first time I went back to church. And I guarantee you, if I wasn't going to be a father, I'd probably be in prison right now. That's how bad my life was getting. So as I was starting to do that, I was hanging out. I was with a church member named Cliff Reber who had a ministry called Handymen for Christ. So I decided to hook up with him because I thought it might be useful to learn how to be handy here and there. And I didn't realize that I liked working with my hands so much. So I was working with him about 5 years. That was helping my sobriety, and a former church member here that I worked with when I was started my 7 years at Walmart, Noah. Longtime church members here know who Noah is. He was the one that got me to come here first for like the prayer dinners that used to be held here on Thursday nights, and I wish those came back, to be honest. I'm just putting it out there. Anyways, and I gotta admit, now it's nice to have two churches to go to. So if I don't feel like I'm at home at one, I can feel like I'm at home with the other. And after a couple years of coming to prayer dinners and so forth, I found out that Celebrate Recovery was starting to come here, and I figured I have nothing better to do. I figured I might as well give it a chance. And up until 21, I was doing. I actually had a 2-year challenge going, but my mental issues were starting to get the better of me. Around 2021, around April, one of my female friends who I was helping out with, she was sending me letters, and the landlord I had at the time gave me a lot of crap about it. And the fact that they're giving me crap about it right and left was making me feel on my arm, on my chest, on my stomach. It wasn't too far from my neck, actually. But and I showed pictures of it to my friend. I was just laying there on my bathroom floor, bleeding because I just didn't feel like doing anything else, which was what the catalyst of making me stop coming here for a while. And fortunately, my friend who I told this to called the cops, and eventually they came by. I was all stitched up. They said because I wasn't so much suicidal as I was just going through a cutting episode, they weren't putting me in inpatient or anything like that. But it was starting to go on a downhill to the point where I was becoming homeless, living in my vehicle that I had at the time. And my female friend just got out of jail. I was helping her out because I was helping her out with things like buying books for her, helping her buy commissary for food because she didn't have anyone else. And I was always told that if you can't be there for someone at their worst, you don't deserve them at their best. So, which is one of the reasons why even if we fight, she always keeps in contact with me because I was the only one there for her when she was in jail. Even visiting her during COVID. But when I was homeless, I briefly went back into my male escorting habits, which made me which I was doing that just so I can get an occasional motel room when I didn't feel like living in my vehicle. But of course, seeing as that's like only a night that's you can only keep a room for a night. You have to keep doing that over and over again to keep getting the money for the room. But it wasn't until my church friends finally convinced me to go to the gospel mission in September, which I think is almost as bad as jail in terms of the conditions there. So if you don't want to go there, I can understand. But they did help me eventually put me on a path to the apartment that I am in now, which I am forever grateful. That being said, it wasn't that it took. I was starting to get my stable, but my female friend, and notice I say friend and not girl, because she wasn't. We weren't in a relationship, although I gotta admit I kind of wish we were. Mostly just because I felt so lonely and I just needed someone. She had her own issues, but although around that time she also got a dog that helped her from completely self-destruction. And shortly after that, it was when I first came back here about late December of last year, where I just mentioned Tammy mentioning how long my hair was. And I was like, maybe if I come back, my life will start being put back together. And since then, I've been fired from Walmart. I just got hired from Myers. I've passed every class that I had for my bachelor's. I'm starting to repair quite a bit of relationship with family. So I would tell you more details, but I was under the impression that maybe I was on a time limit, so that was going as fast as I can. So that's like the 5-minute version of what I've been through. I'll be more than happy to give you more details if you want, but I'm not going to lie. It's not for sensitive ears, and that's my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.